Hey guys, a second sort of recap video. Uh, I can't believe it started out like that. That was not intentional. I do not have a fight with me right now. But this recap video will be less about the game and more about general thoughts and really the realization about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, when you think about his game, anyone who really watched Philly baseball, you know, specifically Philly baseball when they won the title, you had Jason Worth, you had Ryan Howard, and you had these guys, and you would have Jimmy Rollins who would get these guys on base, and then you have your home run hitters in the middle of the lineup who would be able to punch it in, and you get multiple scores off of that. J-Wall could hit a couple of homers himself, but J-Wall's real value on offense was his ability to hit doubles, hit singles, get guys in scoring position. That's what Jimmy Rollins was. Ben Simmons is the Jimmy Rollins of the Sixers. Ben might score a little, but Ben is never going to be, the guy, that guy. And I could get into the reasons for that, but you know what? I'm going to say that for another time. I want to focus on what Ben does well. This is going to be a Ben Simmons appreciation video. Having the Jimmy Rollins of basketball is incredibly rare. It's incredibly rare to have a guy who doesn't need a lot of possessions to score the ball, and at the same time, with that breakneck speed, he could get guys like Tobias Harris in transition. You can get your spot up guys in transition. Although you didn't hit the free well tonight, but the opportunities are there in part because of his breakneck speed. Now, mind you, I think you can hit that breakneck speed and have him off the ball at the same time. I don't think you need him controlling the ball no matter what. Like, literally in my ideal world, if that transition isn't there, he's able to throw a pass to the guard. You run into a pick and roll with, let's say, for example, Simmons and Maxey. Maxey can penetrate into the paint, and Ben Simmons will basically be like a Dwight Howard sort of thing. And that's how I would like to see that play out instead of Ben holding the ball in half court because then it's minimized. But what Ben brings to the game offensively is that Jimmy Rollins like impact of, and that's, I phrased it negatively at a lot of times because you're upset because it's not $29 million. Like without a Jason Worth or without a Ryan Howard, a Jimmy Rollins by himself, he's getting guys on base. So what? Like getting guys on base threatens the score. And if you got guys on base and J-Roll hits a double, that can bring in a run, maybe 2 runs. But it's not the same as I got guys on base. Now Ryan Howard's in here. Now Jason Worth is in here. And it's the same thing in basketball. Ben by himself, that doesn't exist, guys. He's not that. He's not that level. He's not a guy who by himself. That's Joel Embiid. We could, if we wanted to, that would be what would happen if we acquired Bradley Beal. Then you shift it even more to a high pick and roll spread offense with Joel Embiid. But with Ben, you get the best of both worlds where you can play spread pick and roll with Embiid, and you can get that with Ben. You can play both styles. You can have the best of both worlds. But if we wanted to, we could play a high level of basketball strictly on Joel Embiid. So somebody say, why can't we do that with Ben? And we could do that with Ben. And well, the issue with it is because here's the difference between Ben Simmons and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I'm not going to argue that Giannis Antetokounmpo has a lot of tricks in the bag of the ball handler. He doesn't. But what Giannis Antetokounmpo does have is, I think Giannis could pull up from 17 feet. He could pull up with the FIFA line extended. Giannis Antetokounmpo has the speed and the power, but he also has a little bit of ball handling skill to him, where he can make, a left to right. Giannis isn't strictly and only straight line to the rim. He can come off an angle and attack off of an angle. So because of that, you can have four shooters around Giannis, and you can still have something in a half court game because Giannis is just a better slasher to the rim than Ben Simmons is. Better ball handling, better misdirection. It's not a big leap, don't get me wrong. If Giannis were that level, then, well, he'd be close to 35, 40. And he is almost there, partly because of the refs and, his shoulder. But Giannis is just a better ball handler. That's why you can't do Ben and shooters. Because if you had just four shooters, no elite talent like Embiid, no Tobias Harris, no guy that if I sag off this dude, he's going to go off. I'll tell you what will happen in that scenario. You saw it in the Boston series. You got four shooters around Ben. You can't take it off the dribble. I'm going to hug that shooter defensively. What's he going to do? Ben can't take me off the top. Now, I said this was a Ben appreciation video. Part of me appreciating him is putting it in context. Ben will never, ever be that guy. We might not like that. In the perfect world, Ben Simmons is paid $16 million instead of $29 million. In the perfect ideal world, he's paid according to his level of talent. In the ideal perfect world. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where he's paid $29 million. So we just have to accept that Ben Simmons is overpaid just like Tobias Harris is overpaid. They're both overpaid, but they're both crucial parts of this team as constructed. We need Tobias Harris to continue hitting shots. We need Ben to maintain low turnovers. 15, 17 a game, that might just be Ben's career. Okay, let's just be brutal. And it's going to be his career because he's not a great finisher on the contact. He's not a shooter. He doesn't create off the bounce. It is what it is. Ben Simmons is a player who, like Doc Lewis said it perfectly, Ben Simmons is a great floor game. But Ben Simmons is never going to be, you're not going to enter the Hall that way. The only way Ben Simmons enters the Hall of Fame is if he wins 4 or 5 championships. That's the only way he enters the Hall of Fame. He only enters the Hall if he wins 3, 4, or 5 championships. Because he is strictly a system player. He isn't Oscar. He isn't Magic. Doc said a mix of Pippen and Kidd, but both of those guys, Pippen and Kidd, had a mid-range jump shot. It's really hard to compare Ben Simmons because of what he does bring and what he doesn't have. It's a juxtapox. It is amazing that a guy that big, that fast, doesn't have a half-court skill to speak of, but he doesn't. Not a post player, has that righty hook every once in a while. It's amazing. This guy could have been that. He could have been what we paid $29 million, but we did not have a player development coach. Yeah, we didn't have a player development coach. And that ended up stunning his development. And that is what that is. But even though his development was stunning, and even though that impacted him and probably impacted his career, those years from 20 to 24, those first 4 years of his career, those development early years, they're crucial. They're not going to get that back. So, Sam and Doc, they're working on it, but they're working on it from a different place. They're working on it from a place where Ben Simmons has a lot of bad habits, 180 degree without a plan. And because you're working at it from that angle, I don't know if they will be able to help Ben turn the corner and get rid of some of those bad habits, like 180 degrees without a plan. I don't know if you succeed with that. I still think long term, the easy play, the best play, is to put him in power forward. Put him in power forward, let him rim run. If it's open there in transition, he's able to get that pass off, and then half court, he turns into a screen and roll, rim running forward. He's more of an actual forward than Giannis or LeBron. He's a pure natural 6'10" big man. Like, it was great to see him get some offensive rebounds tonight. This is just me really, at the end of the day, I just wanted to give a level-headed Ben Simmons take. He should not be paid $29 million. It hurts. It was a bad decision. You overpaid a player. But he's here, and he's under contract. And he's a damn good player to have. Ben Simmons as your number 3 option is a very good thing. We just happen to put the eggs in the basket of Tobias Harris being option number 2. And tonight, Tobias Harris delivered. Let's see if that can continue. And if it does continue, I think that we're going to be in a very good position in the regular season and in the playoffs. So this is Six of the Universe. I just wanted to get a Ben Simmons appreciation video out. Just a Ben Simmons acknowledgement out. Great game tonight. And even though that Ash Detroit game was a step back, he takes a step forward tonight. So the late heroics in Boston, the first Detroit game, and tonight, 3 out of 4 games, you're at a place now. You're at a healthy mentality of how to play the game. You've lowered your turnover the last 4 games. Only 1 turnover tonight. Ben Simmons, if you play like this, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being in the flow of the offense and helping this team win games. May not be the way I prefer. Might not be what I would like to see out of a guy that's paid $29 million. But I don't doubt in the slightest that Ben Simmons, the way he played tonight, is an integral part of our chances of winning a championship. And the rest, we just have to see how that plays out. Peace.